different episode than usual coming at you this Sunday. Chris, why don't you explain to the folks what we got going on for us this Sunday
You want,
evening?
do you want me to explain why we're in our vehicles or why what we're doing? Yeah, today
Yeah,
is actually going to be a little different. Obviously, I got my AEW hat on. Today's episode is called "Diaries of a Wrestling fan," and basically meaning Dan and I throughout this podcast we're running, we're going to talk about our love for professional wrestling, and we're just gonna call it Diary of a Wrestling Fan. So today is entry number one, and it's AEW Collision. Last Thursday, we took
yeah.
a drive out to go see AEW Collision. A lot of myths were really debunked. I actually thought the pay per view. I mean, the card was great and the show was good. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about our experience with AEW Collision. So I'll start with you though, Dan. A lot of I've heard a lot of bad things about the AEW shows. It's not well. There's not a lot of people in the crowd. What were your first thoughts on it?
Well, yeah, I went in there with all here, like you were saying, hearing all kinds of mixed things about how AEW live events are. Um, I'm sure it might vary depending on which live event you go to, but I was thoroughly impressed by our trip to Collision. We
Oh,
drove up Hamilton there on Thursday for the taping. It aired last night. I was catching some of the highlights and replays this morning on YouTube. It was a really entertaining show, and I went in there expecting to see um, kind of the stereotypical AEW, maybe the indie-rific kind of wrestling.
yeah,
Maybe not so much storytelling in the matches. Maybe a lot of high flying. Maybe even a lot of weapon spots for just throwaway television matches. Um, but I was surprised. It was none of that. It was all a lot of
yeah.
traditional wrestling promos, stories being told throughout the matches. I mean, the only things I mean, there's a couple of, I wouldn't even call them botches. I'd say near botches. And those are about the only negative things I could pick out about it. And trust me, if there were negative things to say, I would say them because I do not bite my tongue when it comes to criticizing modern wrestling. But
Exactly.
yeah, generally, I was really impressed. I think you felt the same way. Am I wrong?
I was actually very impressed. Right away when we went in, obviously I noticed some differences from WWE shows that we've been to versus AEW. AEW did a lot of interacting with the fans. I felt
Yeah,
the announcer was interacting with the fans. The referees were interacting with the fans. When you go to a WWE show, it's really strict. This is your job. You don't stray away from breaking kayfabe. AEW was interacting with a lot of fans. We also noticed, this is what I wanted to talk to you and a lot of fans out there. There was a lot of empty seats.
yes, yeah,
The one full side was completely full, the arena, but the other side was completely empty. Maybe 20 people filled over there, not much. They did a lot of filming from that side, obviously. Um,
almost
I'm not
entirely.
I'm not too sure what happened there. I'm not sure if it was an event thing, maybe it was a capacity thing. Um, I'm not too sure if it's just the way they schedule their events. I think that may be a big key issue of how AEW does their things, that they don't schedule them properly because they have back to back to back to back to events. And it might be a little bit too much wrestling in such a short span of time in such a small area.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the seats being so empty? Because the wrestling, I was very impressed with the wrestling again. We knew MJF was going to be there. Me and you both thought we were just going to see him come there, cut the promo. Hamilton's a dump, whatever, whatever, whatever. But we actually got to see him wrestle two matches. Obviously, the first one was, oh, we went dark. Undertaker.
Uh-oh. Didn't they cancel that show?
The Undertaker's here. There we go. We actually got to see him wrestle twice. I
Cars, as
was,
long as we don't see a
and
collision, we can
I
see
can tell
Diaries.
you, I can tell you right now, doesn't matter the bitching he does or whatever, you can tell right away of what a star he is. He is fantastic in the ring. His movement, everything is just fantastic in the ring. I was thoroughly impressed with all the wrestling, like you said, the pyro, the entrances, the speaker sound. I absolutely love the ring sound. One of the best ring sounds I've heard live.
Yeah, it was
Um,
excellent.
the ring sounds phenomenal. Really a great time. Another thing I've noticed too that I know you'll jump into is how they film Ring of Honor, and I've heard a lot of criticism too online or on other podcasts that half the fans do leave, and it is true. Half the fans do leave, and I think what it is again too much wrestling at this point.
Yeah.
It's already weird schedule time. It's a Thursday late at night. You just had a Wednesday schedule as well. And then you have Ring of Honor coming on right after Collision. Honestly, for me, if you want to do that, I think you should start the show earlier than 5 to 7 is going to be your Ring of Honor, and then you get into Collision. So at least you have fans getting there knowing they can come early. They're going to see wrestling. They can get their seats, their food. They can shop around if they want clothing. But what's your thoughts on the scheduling for Ring of Honor and obviously the empty seats that I think is the fault of poor scheduling?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's difficult to like you said, poor scheduling. Oh, definitely oversaturating markets. I mean, I don't know how many shows they did in the last 2 weeks in the Southern Ontario, but it's been a lot. It's been a lot, and
Yeah.
like you said, to expect people to come out to the secondary shows and then stay for they're coming out to a B show. Like Collision is supposed to be a B show. We're not going to the pay per view. We're not going
Yeah.
to a Dynamite. It's supposed to be the B show. So to expect people to come out to the B show and also stay for the C show afterwards is it's a lot. It's expecting a lot from your audience. I know they do have a lot of hardcores, and it
Yeah.
is like amongst their hardcores, it's a very like culty fan base, and they probably do stay back. I know we were stressing out when we went out to the parking lot because a bunch of the cars had to be double parked. We're like, oh man, hopefully we're not boxed in by Ring of Honor fans because
Yeah.
there'd be no out of there until who knows how late if they're going to stay and watch all those Ring of Honor matches. Um, I also, to be honest, I was actually like you mentioned the empty seats. I definitely went in expecting empty seats. Just like we were saying, there's so many events in the area in the past couple weeks. I definitely didn't think it'd be sold out. I was actually impressed by the turnout, but it is to me also kind of difficult to judge because I haven't been to enough shows in recent years to know what a good turnout is. To be honest, I assumed depending on where the location is, some Monday Night Raws would probably even look like that,
Yeah. That's for
depending on
sure.
what's
Yeah.
running.
Yeah, I agree with you. Collision is the B show, but I find when you're watching Dynamite, that's when you're gonna get the more hardcore indie fans that
Yeah,
love that style of wrestling. I find Collision is more storytelling, not so much high spots. It's a little more what the fans like to call it now, sports entertainment, right? You have
right.
a lot of you have a lot of those wrestlers there that fill out that roster. Well, the AEW is more of that indie, will sell here and there, kind of wrestling, which is fine because both mix to make good pay-per-views or good shows. But for your sports entertainment fans, Collision will probably be your thing, and I was really, really impressed. I was expecting a really bad show. I was expecting a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Um, and it was phenomenal. The wrestling was great. I've watched Monday Night Raw the last couple months. and it's really been boring here and there, nothing spectacular. I went to Collision expecting, worse than that, and I was blown away by how good Collision was. Um, you know, what a good show. There's nothing else I can say. We got to see obviously the champ MJF, which was, we thought he was going to cut a promo. We got to see him at least wrestle for 20 minutes and a
Yeah,
good
we got to.
and a good solid match.
Yeah, we
He
saw
made
everything.
Ethan Page look strong. Yeah,
We
made him
saw him
look
work the
strong.
cover, we saw him work the promo, and then we saw him work a competitive match.
Yeah, and it was a good competitive match. We saw Miro. Actually, you didn't see Miro. I saw Miro. You
Yeah,
went to go get some beers and hot
hot
dogs.
dog.
I saw Miro, a little squash match to try to get him back into, into the groove. Uh, the worst part of the show, I would have to say, two worst parts, if I had to make a negative comment, would be I wasn't very impressed with Powerhouse Hobbs. I know
Here
that's a
was
guy.
I.
I know that's a guy a lot of fans want to get behind, and so do I. Um,
Myself.
I don't wanna blame him for anything, because he is wrestling a 50-something-year-old, Dustin Rhodes. So, a lot of the big spots where he's supposed to catch him and lift him, Dustin just isn't pushing himself up as high as he should. But, I wasn't impressed with Powerhouse Hobbs, and I wasn't impressed with, the Bullet Club's promo. I thought Jay White went on and on about who the fuck knows what.
Yeah,
I don't even
I don't think he
I
knew what he
I
was
know.
going to say next.
Yeah, when we were watching it, you even said, "This guy has no idea what he's gonna
Yeah,
say next." He just
yeah,
kept on saying, "Bag in a
yeah.
belt. If you got your belt in a bag, you should keep the belt in the bag."
Uh-huh.
But
He felt like me. It felt like me trying to do a video game review. It's like I don't
yeah,
even know what the next thing I'm going to say is.
but overall, the main event was a Samoa Joe match. Um, you know, very physical, lots of chops, really a little bit of that New Japan style, but just not as physical. Just overall, a really good pay-per-view. I know the critics really hate on it and so on and so forth. And I get it. There is stuff, but I think with Collision, you can't really hate on Collision because it is bringing a lot of that sports entertainment factor. When you watch Dynamite, you're gonna see Jeff Hardy jumping off of something through a table. Someone is going through a table on every Dynamite, whether it's Sting, Moxley, whoever have you, someone's going through a table, someone's getting injured. A lot of these spots should be saved for pay-per-views. You don't want to have your talent doing this on a nightly basis, getting hurt and injured. Look at the talent that has been injured on an AEW Dynamite versus on a
Well,
pay-per-view. It's
and how
it's it's
excessive the
crazy.
injuries.
It's crazy, but no, all in all, man, for the first Wrestling Diaries talking about AEW Collision, I was thoroughly impressed. And if anyone's out there thinking about going to a collision near you, for what we paid, I bought 3 tickets, cost me 150. We had great seats. I couldn't complain about the seats. They were great. We could see everything. We could hear everything. We could see the Titantron, the entrance beautifully. We were close to the exit to get to the bathrooms, concessions. Collision's always going to take place in those smaller arenas in your town. So for $150 for 3 tickets, $200 would have got me four. You can't go wrong for
Yeah,
a good 2.5 hours of wrestling. It was a little shorter than per se a Monday Night Raw and a SmackDown, but they do give you the option of staying that extra hour and a bit to watch Ring of Honor.
something on it. Yeah,
So that's only the negative things I could say. I think they're doing Ring of Honor bad. If I was Tony Khan and I bought over this company, I wouldn't have kept Ring of Honor as its own separate. I would have just merged all the wrestlers under the banner and then you split them because
yeah.
AEW just has a little too many champions that are everywhere and not enough people wrestle enough to for anyone to give a shit, right?
Yeah, Ring of Honor is pretty meaningless. They already have enough titles. They've got tournaments ongoing. We saw the main event was for the matchup for the Owen Hart Memorial
Yeah.
Tournament or whatever it is. So they got enough trophies, belts. They don't need the Ring of Honor crap. But
No, like it's
and I
crazy.
was confused by that because like was is Joe? Oh, Joe's not the Ring of Honor champ. Joe's like the TV champ or something, right?
Yeah, he's like some TV Ring of Honor champ. I don't even know who the Ring of Honor champ is. I know it was Jericho at one point.
That's
Wasn't it
bizarre.
Jericho? Yeah, he won it at one point, but I don't remember who the hell beat him.
Yeah,
So
I don't know. Like, I pretty
I
much
have
agree
no
with
idea.
everything you're saying about the event. Like the things that you didn't like. The only thing that stood out to me was that Powerhouse Hobbs match where it looked like both guys, got seemed to tire out a little bit. Couldn't execute some of the matches for some of the movements towards the end of the match, as
Yeah,
clean as at the beginning of the match. Yeah, again, like they gave another thing is they gave the fans everything they could ask for. They
absolutely.
MJF is going to be there. You got as much MJF as you could ask for. Like I said, you got a squash match, you got a promo, and you got a competitive match out of the champ.
Absolutely.
Everybody in the building wants CM Punk. The second we got there, you could tell. You could see all the Punk shirts. You could see all the Punk signs. People were
I
either
would
booing Punk or cheering Punk. And they gave us the entrance. They gave us the run in. They gave us Punk with as much Punk as you could get without seeing him work, basically.
Yeah, because when we were there, I was saying I don't. I know Punk was advertised on the poster, but I was like, I don't think he's here because we
Yeah,
didn't hear anything about it. And then we got him on the Titan screen with
yeah,
FTR, and and obviously Ricky Starks doing a promo, and then that was it. That's all we thought we were gonna see a
yeah.
Punk.
And we didn't know that could have been recorded in Toronto like earlier in the week.
Yeah, yeah, and then we had him do the run-in like you said, and then we actually had him. I think Tony Khan must have been like, you know what, give the fans what they want. They're chanting for him. He came out with the entrance music, got his cheap pop, went sat
Yeah,
down, and now we have the match we've been wanting to see again for the last 15 whatever years. Samoa Joe for CM Punk and the Owen Hart Memorial Cup tournament. So um fantastic, fantastic show. I have to give props also to Ricky Starks uh, during the match. I heard a lot of critics. AEW guys don't sell, they don't play, whatever. He sold that leg injury to a T. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It really hindered his ability to be Ricky Starks that we've seen him. The fast moving Ricky Starks. He really sold it perfectly against Juice Robinson. Overall, just a great show. From all the stuff I listened to when we bought the tickets, and it was only $150 for three. I was like, okay, no wonder it's cheap. It's probably not going to be a good show. I'm not expecting too much. I'm just expecting to see some really crappy wrestling, and far from it, really far from it. Very impressed. I know we've been to Monday Night Raws, we've been to house shows from the WWE, and when you're watching, those mid card guys or even some of those lower card guys wrestle, you're really going. We know it's fake, we know it's scripted, but when you watch those guys wrestle, I remember watching, a few of those guys wrestle in the beginning, and I was like, "Oh my god, like this really looks bad." But
yeah,
when I was watching the AEW, it looked great. It looked real. It wasn't anything that I was like, "Oh man, like this is bad." Entertainment. I was entertained the whole time.
yeah.
Obviously,
Me
again,
well.
like you said, the worst match was that Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dustin. You said they tired. I expect that from Dustin Rhodes. The guy's pushing, almost 60, but not from Hobbs. He
Young
has a
guy.
long, yeah, he does have a long way to go. Um, very, I like the feud with the Bullet Club and FTR and CM Punk. Another thing I do not like about AEW, this has nothing to do with Collision. This has to do with the fans going professional wrestling versus sports entertainment. At the end of the day, folks, it's a business and business needs to make money. The Bucks Kenny Omega. I know a lot of people love him. I'm not saying I hate him. I watch them. I'm entertained by them, but it's a business to make money, and money is to work with CM Punk. You guys have the most heated feud that it's about border. It's real. Where you guys got to put that shit down and work together. You wouldn't work with FTR. You wouldn't work with these guys that can, push you over the edge and make great matches, great storyline, great money. There's no way. I think we're only getting the Bullet Club versus FTR and CM Punk because the Bucks and Omega won't work them. And
Yeah,
you're trying to sell out a stadium in London, which you may do. We don't know. I went to the live event. I seen the other side completely empty. So that may happen there, and you guys may change the camera angles. Who knows? But how do you not have the biggest show you guys are throwing, and somehow, some way, you don't have CM Punk versus Kenny Omega? And even if they didn't want to work together, you guys are all being bitches. At least do a tag team FTR CM Punk versus the Bucks and Kenny Omega. Like you gotta do something. You gotta work with each other. Matt Hardy worked with Edge after he fucked his a longtime girlfriend. Like Macho Man and Hogan worked together when Macho thought
yeah,
Hogan was sleeping with Elizabeth. It's a business. It's about making money. Stone Cold worked with Owen Hart after his neck got broke. It's a business. It's about making money, and that's a money matchup. Um, I don't even care. I don't even think Punk cares if he goes over. Obviously, Punk is not the same guy he was in 2012, 2011. The 2014. Kenny Omega is gonna have to carry that match, which is whatever.
yeah. I think
But
that works. I think it works if
yeah,
Kenny carries it physically and CM Punk's
yeah,
calling in the mat.
yeah.
But again,
It's
it's
it,
probably not.
no. That's the thing I'm talking about. It's just something. That's the business,
Hey man,
and
if
you know,
Tony had some balls, he could just make it happen. Tell them it's happening. I
yeah,
mean, all these guys can do is go back to Japan. None of these guys can stay on a roster in WWE, especially not with
no,
these attitudes. Just try to say what
no.
they will and won't do. Like,
That's it. And at the end of the day, man, like I said, it's a business, and Tony Khan can't keep running a business and losing money. It doesn't matter how rich your father is. Doesn't matter how rich you are. That does not. It doesn't matter who's your best friend and who's not your best friend. You need money to run a successful business, and if you're not running a business that's successful, it's always an opportunity to have your doors closed.
yeah.
So
Speaking
that's the one
of,
little gripe I have with AEW. I think they've done the best thing to split up the brands that you have those sports entertainment kind of guys that are giving you that value of wrestling versus the other guys that are giving you that indie high spots, high flying. You want to see major spots, you're gonna get it over there. But if you come over here, you're gonna get your classic um sports entertainment, professional wrestling, right?
yeah, and I think we made the right call on which show we went to. I think it
Yeah,
suited our more at least.
for sure. So, we'll cut this episode, a little shorter than what we usually do. It's not a 2-hour episode. We just wanted to come out here. This is the first of our Diaries of a Wrestling Fan. We've been wrestling fans since we were, you know, young and had diaper rash. We've been loving professional wrestling, so we just wanted to come out here and break down a little bit of AEW Collision and really give you guys the insight to what these podcasts and other critics say about it because we were there, we witnessed it. If you watch the podcast, like Dan said, we don't hold back. We'll tell you if it was good or if it was bad or what have you. And I really, really enjoyed it. And if it comes around Ontario again, I'll be sure to buy some more tickets.
Yeah, I agree, especially if it's Collision. Before we go, let me give you one quick one. We usually do our buy, rent, and sell with video games. Let me give
Oh,
you a push, job, or release with some
oh,
wrestlers you watched on Collision live on Thursday or on Saturday. Um, So who will you push? Who will you job out? And who will you cut between? Let's go with the big boys that we saw on Thursday. Let's go Samoa Joe, Miro, or Powerhouse Hobbs.
Ooh. Um, I'm gonna actually I'm gonna release Powerhouse Hobbs. I think because I really wasn't impressed by him, man.
Neither was I.
I'm
He's got work
gonna
to do.
yeah I'm gonna push Samoa Joe. I'll give him a last little push there. I think he's not far above Miro, but he's a better worker for sure, and I'll job out Miro. One of the two, Miro or Powerhouse Hop can switch either or for me. Um, not really. I just, I honestly don't see Miro doing big things on AEW Collision if they have to get another belt in there or something for him to contend with
Yeah,
because I don't think he's gonna go for any of those higher up
I think
belts, unfortunately.
too late. It's been too stop start for him already. I think they probably could have done something with him early on. I think he would have
Yeah,
fit as a monster guy working against some smaller dudes in AEW, but I think it's been too stop and start.
yeah, I think they killed him. I think they killed him by now. You know, it's kind of like Baron Corbin. I just seen he's on NXT and he brought back his Lone Wolf gimmick. It's like holy fuck! How many times?
Uh,
How many times you gonna repackage this fucking guy? You fucking like shit, man.
the lone wolf
No,
gimmick. That was like 10 years ago. He did that. He started that
I'm
shit.
sorry. I'm sorry WWE. I'm sorry. I don't even hate Baron Corbin, but I'm sorry. No one gives a shit about him.
Yeah.
We don't hate him. We don't whatever. But
Yeah.
no one gives a shit about Baron Corbin. So stop it.
He must be
We
a
don't want to.
really good guy to
We don't
work
want.
with or something.
Yeah, we don't want to see sad Corbin. We don't want to see happy Corbin. We don't want to see depressed Corbin. We don't want to see have a small penis Corbin. We don't want to see any of those Corbins.
What about chronic
No more Corbins.
Corbin?
No more Corbins. I don't want to see no Corbin no more. Fuck.
Uh,
Lone Wolf.
AEW Corbin.
Hey, if he gets fired from WWE, that's exactly Tony Khan's gonna ring him right up, yo.
Yeah, you can join the House of Black or something.
You know that for sure. Tony Khan's already waiting.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Is that all you had or what?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. You give me. Okay. You know what? Just because you asked, I'll give you one more. I'll give you one more. Again with guys we watched on Thursday. Let's go. Ethan Page. We saw.
Mhm.
Let's let MJF. I don't want to give you MJF because that's too obvious. Go Ethan Page, Roderick Strong, or we didn't see him work. We saw him kind of promo. Christopher Daniels. So Ethan Page, Christopher Daniels, or Roddy. Okay.
I'm going to release Christopher Daniels. He's had his time. I'm gonna
Seen a
push
lot of him
Ethan.
already.
I'm gonna push Ethan Page, and I'll job out Roderick Strong. I think he's the perfect jobber. He can get in there, have a good match, hit you hard, but take the
Yeah,
loss. You know what I
hit
mean?
it hard. Yeah,
I don't see a potential champion, even if it's on a lower end TNT. I don't see a champion in him. I
yeah.
see it in I see it in Ethan Page. Ethan Page has a good promo. He has a good look.
A little
He
bit more
knows
height on Roddy.
yeah, he knows the business well. He'll do good things on AEW Collision. I think they just got to split up the roster a little more. Maybe get a tag team, more of tag team divisions in there. I think AEW has too many. I know they do the trios championship. That's why they have a lot of groups. But
Too convoluted.
you have too many groups when you have a lot of guys just staggering around. Just put them in tag teams, split them up on the thing, and have your separate tag team champions.
Yeah.
But again, a great show. So, Diaries of a Wrestling Fan, entry number one, AEW Collision. We just wanted to come here, talk to you guys about it live, what we liked, what we didn't like, what we saw that needs improvement with AEW. That's just that's just us. Obviously, we're fans, and like the wrestlers say, we don't know shit. But but we do watch the program, and this is just the little things that we would like to see. So I'll let Dan conclude it like always, and we'll see you next week. I'm not too sure what kind of episode we'll have. I might still be in my car for this week. Not gonna lie, honestly, I moved, so I just don't have the space right now to do a podcast at nighttime. So I might be doing it in my car, or maybe I'll start going over the dance here and there, and we can get on the same camera.
Yeah, and well, I'm in my car too because I've been keeping the missus up most Sundays. So maybe
Yeah,
we'll both do it in the car.
yeah, we'll do it next time. Maybe we'll do a drive around. But what are you thinking for next week? You want to stick on wrestling, or you want to move on to something else?
um, I was thinking about a variety episode to be the other day, but I don't know. Like I
Yeah,
was thinking,
like, we can do that.
I was just thinking back and forth. We go top five, draft your top five blanks, and it could literally be anything. It could be sports, it could be entertainment, it can be food, it can be characters. It could be literally like draft your top favorite or draft your top 10 like hot leading women or something like that. And then whoever has the hot list at the end, we just go back and forth topics.
Okay, yeah, we can do something like that. Draft our top 10, hottest women actors or whatever. We
Everything.
can
We'll
do.
just keep we can just bang them out. Just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then on to the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Top
Okay, so
five. Go
we'll,
on a sandwich.
we'll yeah, we'll do that for next week. We'll have 5 categories we'll come up with then. 10 answers each, and it will just be a rapid fire episode. So guys, we'll see you next Sunday, like always. Thank you guys if you guys tune in to watch our first episode of Diaries of a Wrestling Fan. We'll be sure to make another episode. Hopefully, we won't be in our vehicles, and we'll be in our warm houses and well, our cool houses because it's summertime right now. But like always,
It's
it's a
warm.
pleasure. That's it. Like always, it's a pleasure coming out here and chatting away. So we will see you next week with a special episode. Thank you.
See you next week, guys.